Shalom.
Okay, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachakodash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations. Much love and respect to Akim out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. This is another lesson from the GMS branch out here in Montreal, Canada. Okay, this lesson is going to be entitled, "There's no such thing as white or black people." Okay, that is a false construct, okay, that was created by the so-called white man. The reason we say so-called is because this is what they're being called today. But it really doesn't exist, okay, because nations are spoken about in the Bible. Okay, as a matter of fact, get me Genesis, where it goes down the list of the 18 nations, right? Which is even more than 18 nations, I believe. But there's more than 18 nations, right, if I'm not mistaken. But this goes down a list of some of the nations, right? And they were called after the name that the Heavenly Father ordained them to be called, right? Which was usually what the name of a forefather. But go ahead.
Like, you want me to read the whole?
Yeah, read the whole thing.
Okay.
I'll tell you when to stop, basically.
Come.
Go
So
ahead.
this is the book of Genesis. Salakia. 9. No, Salakia.
10.
Genesis 10 in verse 1. It says, "Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras."
Right, so you really can't say Japheth is a nation. Japheth is one of the sons of Noah. Just like you can't say Ham is a nation. You come from the nation of Ham. Because there's nations under Ham, amongst Ham. There's nations amongst your pop. Okay? Go ahead.
It says, "And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Repath."
Right, in that area, these people call themselves Ashkenazis, J-E to the dubs. Those, that name Ashkenaz, that was the region in Germany and part of Turkey that they came from. Okay, they're not saying that they're Japhites. That was the region in which they came from. You see? So, that land, by the way, Europe at one point was owned by Japhet. Okay? That's why a lot of the names of those lands originally was called after Japhetic nations. Like, for example, Turkey was Gomer, okay, and Magog, right, or Gog, that's where Russia is, right, or it's a little bit below Russia, because where Russia was no man's land, but like a little bit below that region was Gog, all right. So these were named after Japhet because at one time Japhet ran that land. Now you have the Edomites who migrated in that land. Okay? You see? Go ahead.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that's why even when you look at the map, the land that the Japhetic or Japheth had, it's a big, massive land. Because, when you go into it, basically Japheth means, he enlarged. That's why he had all that massive land you see right now at Russia. That pertains to the Japhetic people. Continuing on, it says, verse 4, "And the sons of Yavan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dudanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided, and their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, and after their nations." So
Right. So they were divided, by different tongues, right, amongst themselves. So this is part of the separation because the Heavenly Father didn't want everyone to be all together as one. Go ahead.
Yeah, it says, verse 6, And the sons of Ham was Cush and Mizraim and Phut and Canaan. And
Right. See, Mizraim, that's the Egyptians. Okay, their name was changed to Egyptians by the Greeks. All right, but their original name is Matazarium in the ancient Hebrew. All right. Go ahead. See, so that's part of where the confusion came from too, because Esau was changing people's names and things like that. You know. So when you change a person's name, you change their identity. If someone was to be a scam artist, and he would go to another city and say, you know what, I'm gonna change my identity, I'm gonna change my name, right? His name used to be Rodrigo, now his name is George Frankson, you know? See, that's part of his whole identity being changed. So this is what Esau has done with the nations. He has changed their identities, which is part of what that covering cast. Yeah. You got that one? Okay, bring that out too.
Isaiah 25 and verse 7. And he will destroy on this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people.
Right.
And the veil that is spread over all nations.
That's right. The covering cast. Look up the word covering cast. All right. Look at the word covering cast. All right. That's what Esau has done. He's covered who everyone is.
Yeah.
Right. To what? Ultimately, to hide who he is.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, because if all the other nations were here, that means Esau would be here too.
Mm-hmm.
And people will come to find him out. So when he came into rule, he had to deceive the people by giving them different names, different identities. Mass majority of these nations' name did derive from some so-called white man's name, like the continent of Africa. Was named after what's his name?
Scipio Africanus.
Scipio Africano. Africanus. So that's what Esau does, man. If he didn't do that, then he wouldn't be able to hide himself. People would be able to point the finger and Job 30 his ass.
Mm-hmm.
I got the word.
Go ahead.
This is the word covering. In the Hebrew, it says lawam. It says lawat. It says covering, envelope. Strong's definition of veil, covering.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Right? So we covered up who is who.
All right.
Right? So you wouldn't know. That's part of his deception, man. Because it said once he was loose.
Yeah, that's what
Oh, beautiful. Go ahead, brother.
Revelation 20 and verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go.
Now, say this is not the spiritual demon Satan. You had that guy from a bow when he was breaking this thing down. He sounded like when he was speaking about the dragon, right? In Revelation 13, it sounded like he thought that the dragon was Satan. No, it's not speaking about the spiritual demon Satan. It's speaking about the physical counterpart of Satan, which is the Edomites.
Right.
Go ahead.
And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
When was the 1,000 years expired? During the time of the Renaissance period, which was not one specific year. It was around late 1300s, right, to the around the 1400s. That was the beginning of Esau coming into power. That was the ending of the reign of the Israelites.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Verse 8, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth.
So the first thing this devil did was go out to deceive.
Yep.
And that's what he does best. He's a master of deception, and now he's at the height of his deception through his media.
Right. It says, Gog and Magog to gather them to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
That's it on that. What you got?
There's a bit more on the word covering. I went to the root word. It's still the same word, lawat. It says to wrap closely or tightly. And when you go into the Hebrews Chaldees lexicon, it says, hold on. It says to cover over, to hide. It says hidden secret. It says secret arts and incantations.
Yeah, but he said to cover tightly.
Yeah.
Like Esau don't want this
Yeah,
out, so he
yeah.
made sure he wrapped that up to the point where no one could really get into it.
Yeah.
Because the definitions in the blue letter, the Spirit put the blue letter together.
Yeah.
So these things, when it said cover tightly, Esau does not want this information to come out, man. So he misconstrued even DNA itself. Oh, you're 3% that, 4% that, 55% that. There's no such thing as a mixed person. Okay? That's another thing we got to get into. There's no such thing as a mixed person. All right? You are who your father is. Okay? Not only is there no such thing as a white or black person, because there's no nation that the Heavenly Father created that was called white or black. We're reading the nations now. You're hearing about Matazarium. You're hearing about Gomer. You're hearing about these different names. Okay? None of these are black. The name black. The name of white. You see? But furthermore than that, you are who your father is, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was basically it.
Okay, hold Numbers, the first chapter, 18th verse. Okay, and we're gonna read that thing about how the term white was created. By the way, okay.
You want the numbers down?
Huh?
The numbers down?
Not you have something, brother?
Yeah, Khan.
Okay, go ahead.
Ezekiel 28:14. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth.
That's Esau, man. Go ahead.
I have set thee so. Thou was upon the holy mountain of the Most High. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire.
Yeah, he's covering the whole earth.
Yeah.
Till you got the nations confused. You got Moabites and Ammonites calling themselves yellow. The hell are they talking about? There's nobody walking around yellow. Go ahead.
Khan, that was it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Numbers 1 and verse 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees,
There's two type of colors in the scriptures. Matter of fact, give me before you get that. Get me Edom. Edom came out red.
Yeah. Genesis
Right.
25.
There's brown people, which is normal color skin, from a dark brown to a medium brown to a light brown. That's normal, right? And then you got, and even in the ancient world, you really didn't have this super really people like that were super light brown. That's a new thing because of Esau. Okay, people were dark. When you look at the old videos of the Moabites, they were dark. The old videos of Ishmael, they were all dark. Okay? So you have the brown people, and then you have red or pink people. You have no other colors in the spectrum. Okay? There's no other colors. That's it. You don't have green people. You don't have yellow people. You don't have white people. You don't have black people. We're not black. Look at my skin. Look at all these brothers' skin. This brother got a black shirt on. His skin color is totally different from his shirt color. Go ahead, brother.
Khan, Genesis 25,
and this is a very dark-skinned brother. So, come on, man. Go ahead.
Khan, Genesis 25 and verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Mm-hmm.
And the one people shall be stronger
than... You may ask, how is there 2 nations coming from the same woman? Right. Well, the Heavenly Father put the separation. He's the one that separates the seed. He's the one who created the nations and separated the seeds. Because we all come from Adam, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's particular seeds that form different nations. And he decided when it was going to branch off and create that other nation. He changed the DNA in a particular way. That's Yahweh Shai's science. All right? Go ahead.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
Right. Which he's not doing that anymore because the nations are created.
Right.
So there's no more, now if you have a twin, one of them could be another nation. That's not going to happen no more because the nations are now created. We were the last nation to be created, the Israelites. Read that again.
It says, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people,
Which is us. Go ahead.
and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment.
Right, so he was red, like how the color that the garments used to be, that they used to dye red. He didn't come out hairy. The garments that they used to have, or those red heifers, they would dye it red to make it more red. So he came out super red, and that's how those Edomite babies come out. They come out super red. They don't come out white, right? They come out super red, and then when they grow up, they either stay red, super red, or they become lighter pink. But when it gets cold, they get redder. When they get hot, they get redder, etc., etc. All right. Go ahead.
It says, and they called his name Esau.
And they called his name Esau. Okay. They called his name Esau, man. All right. What you got? And the reason and by the way, we keep going.
It says, verse 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob.
Why didn't they mention Jacob's color? Because Jacob came up normal. He came out brown like everyone else at that time. See? Go ahead. That's it on that, Salakia. Go ahead, Mahaya.
Yeah, get the numbers?
Yep.
Khan. So this is the book of...
and break it down when you read it. Go ahead.
Okay, Khan. This is the book of Numbers 1 and verse 18. And it reads... And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from the 20 years old and upward by their polls.
So, read that part again. Read that part again.
Yeah. It says, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. In other words, pedigree goes into your lineage.
That's
so
right.
They're tracking down the lineage by what the house of their fathers, because it's the father that carries the seed.
That's right.
You know, the woman is just an incubator for the seed. You know, she doesn't continue a lineage. You know, that's why whenever you'll watch ancient movies of particular kings, if they get a daughter, they'll be pissed off. You know, if they didn't have a male heir yet.
Yeah.
You know, because the inheritance, if it goes down to the woman, hey, his lineage is not gonna get to continue.
Right.
You know, unless he has a brother that goes and raise seed to him according to the law.
Right.
But you know, the priority would be to you having a male child.
Right. If I may add real quick, even in that case, if they don't have anybody that's close of kin, like Ruth, it could be a cousin or something. You know, the closest,
right,
male to take that inheritance. You know?
Right. But
so,
and that's why they call it the family jewels.
Right.
That's why they call it the balls the family jewels, because that's it's valuable. It's able to pass down the family legacy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue. It says, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So this proves to you also there's no such thing as a mixed people.
Right.
You know, you're half this and half that. No, you're strictly what your father is, man.
Yeah.
The only thing you take from your mother is some of her traits. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, you might look a bit like her. You know, you get the same hair texture, certain features about her face. That's about it. You know, everything else is you're of your father. You know, that's it, man. You know, it's pretty simple. You know, and that's why whenever the woman gets married, she takes what? The husband's name. You know, except for now, you know, when it's all fucked up now, where you know sometimes the husband takes the woman's name, but that's complete nonsense. It's supposed to be the woman that takes the husband's name, because it's the husband that continues on the lineage.
Yeah, and she's joining that house.
Yeah,
she's joining that family. You know, another thing is that the reason why they changed that whole thing of it being from the father to the mother is, I don't know if it's gonna say that in that thing that I told you to get, but it's really because Esau didn't want to take care of the babies that he had with Jake women at that time. That's really what it was about. That was one of the main reasons that they said, you know what, the child is deemed whatever nation it is based upon its mother, because Esau wanted, if he had a child with him, they would just stay with the slaves, and Jake would have to take care of them. You know, he didn't want to have to do that, right? But guess what? If an Edomite had a child by a Jake, he was deemed as a free person. That child was deemed as a free. So Esau is backwards, but then Esau was still discriminated against it. So Esau is just a backwards, and he can't do right. That's why the scriptures speak about what your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. You know, he's a liar, a scam artist. Anyways, you got anything in that article yet? Look for the right parts in that article, Baba Kusha. You got something, brother?
Kind of got it, yep.
Okay, go ahead and break it down,
Yep.
brother.
Habakkuk 2 and verse 4, it says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Right, just pretty much adding on to what the brothers was going into. He said, you know, the Edomites, they're backwards, man. You know, their spirit is not right. You know, so everything they do is not straight. You know, it's crooked, like the scriptures say. You know, and something that's crooked, you can't make it straight. You know, I got something else. This is Tobit 5 and verse. I'm gonna start out verse 9. You know, just going into how the brother Machai read Numbers. You know, you're basically who your father is. You know, this is Tobit 5 and verse 9. So he called them, and he came in, and they saluted one another. Then Tobit said unto him, Brother, show me of what tribe and family thou art. To whom he said, Doest thou seek for a tribe or family, or an hired man to go with thy son? Then Tobit said unto him, I would know, brother, thy kindred and name. Then he said, I am Azarias, the son of...
Because it was important back then.
Yeah.
It was important to know what stock a person came from.
Right.
It meant a lot.
Right.
Damn. Okay, so so he's of the highborn class.
Right.
Or he's of
a lowborn,
a person of you know, these people are people of integrity. You know, because how the family is, you could tell a lot by how the child will turn out too.
Right.
You got a child with a family full of dysfunctional people. He's gonna be dysfunctional to some extent. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like them hood rats and them, you know, they grow up in that environment. They have that vibe on them. You know? Go ahead.
Right. Even if like today, if your dad so-called was in the streets, you would pretty much follow after him, you know?
That's right.
It says, Then Tobit said unto him, I would know, brother, thy kindred and name. Then he said, I am Azarias, the son of Ananias the Great, and of thy brethren. You know, and something to emphasize is mentioning a man, you know, the man Azarias or Ananias. It didn't say it didn't mention the mother's name.
That's right.
You know, it's dealing with the men. You know, you are who your father is. Your mother's lineage doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
You know, verse 13. Then Tobit said, Thou art welcome, brother. Be not now angry with me, because I have inquired to know thy tribe and thy family.
Right.
Right.
So how come he didn't ask about the mother?
Right.
Doesn't that count for the tribe? No, it doesn't. The only thing that counts for the tribe is the father.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The father is the head of the household. What's the you always go into
Abba. Yeah.
Abba. You know.
A lot, which is the head of the ox, which also represents the strength.
Strength, yeah.
And then you have Ba, which goes into Bayath.
Bayath, yeah.
Which is the house, right? And then son is Ba, which is Bayath, and then Ya. Oh, hold on, Ba. Then it's Ya. Damn, I can't remember, man. But it's like the continuation of the house. Like the last one is this, like the Na, I believe, is like seed, but it's like the continuation of the house. That's what the bun means in son, the continuation of the house. Okay, see, man, we're talking about ba and na.
Okay.
Yeah,
The na
yeah,
is
that's
the
right.
continuation of the house.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I got the ya
Yeah,
from.
probably thinking of
Banyam, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about. I don't
Sounds
know what I'm
about right.
thinking about, brother. But yeah, the ba and the na is the continuation or the seed of the house. So that's why it's important to have a son so you could continue the house.
Right.
You see? Go ahead.
It says, oh wow, it says even the precept, he that begetteth a son, avenger, roughly paraphrasing, like unto himself.
Yeah.
So your son is basically a reflection or an extension of you as a father. You know?
That's right. That's right, brother. That's right, brother. And
It's
then
just-
it's like it spoke about how it grieved the enemy.
Yeah, it grieved the
Matter of fact,
enemy.
get that
Yeah,
scripture he's talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? When you're speaking about that, I'm thinking about
King Solomon.
no, not King Solomon. I'm thinking about which that's a good example.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler, he was about the reason he hated the Turks so much is because of what they did to his father, how they killed his father. So his whole vengeance and how he would impale them on the stakes, that was all based upon what they did to his father. You know? So that hatred his father had for them, or that passed down unto him. And he became a terror unto them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people they say, yo, we gotta kill all the male child.
Right.
Oh,
Unless
yeah.
they grow up to be vengeful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Godfather?
Yeah.
Where they like, yo, we gotta kill this kid before he comes
Mm-hmm.
back, and then he came back and put him to death.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
Right. That's why in Egypt, what did they do? They decided to cut off all the male children because
That's right.
Israel was multiplying. They didn't say let's kill all the first female born, or if it's female, just kill them.
It didn't matter. Yeah.
Even at the time of Yahweh Shai, it was the male. Because what's the male that continues the family line, man.
That's right.
Like we're going into. What was the woman's name again?
Battle Laura.
I
don't know how to spell it.
GPT.
I don't know how to spell it. Go ahead.
Finishing off, it says, "For thou art my brother of an honest and good stock. For I know Ananias and
Honest and good stock. Right?
For I know Ananias and Jonathas, sons of the great Samias, as we went together to Jerusalem to worship and offered the firstborn and the tenths of the fruits, and they were not seduced with the error of our
And now
brethren."
in this day and age, they don't give a shit about that. Honest and good stock. They don't care about that. How much money he got. How famous is he?
Right.
They don't care about how honest and good and how honorable you are. Go ahead, bro.
Right.
And don't forget that precept too that he. That
I'm holding it on deck.
Go ahead.
It says, "My brother, thou art of a good stock."
That's it. Go ahead, Maya. Read that precept real quick.
This is Ecclesiasticus 30 and verse. I'm gonna start at verse 3. It says, "He that teacheth the son grieveth the enemy."
Or you go ahead. Get it. Bro. Got it.
Yeah.
You
It
can break it
says,
down if you want.
Okay.
"He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy,
Right.
and before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
Right.
Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead."
Right, because if your father does pass, and you have a son, it's like because your father pretty much poured everything into his son, everything he learned, like your father is supposed to put you on as a son, you got it.
Right, and you read Tobit, right? That
Yeah,
Tobit.
that was
That's
exactly,
what
yeah.
Tobit did to Tobias.
That's the perfect example.
Before he
Yeah.
went on his journey, drop some game and say, yo, do such and such, make sure you pray, make sure you marry
Give
someone
tithes.
of your tribe, this, that, the third, give your tithes. He was putting him on game.
All right.
You
And
know?
if your father's a good person, an honorable person, you're gonna be honorable too, because he's putting that on you,
It says, verse 4 again, it says, "For though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead.
Right.
For he hath left one behind him that is like himself.
Right.
While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies,
Right.
and one that shall requite kindness to his friends."
Right.
That's also, the brother, he made an example of King Solomon, right? And then I made an example of Vlad the Impaler, man.
Right.
You know, so that's well known, man. The son is the threat. Okay, the son is what's going to continue on the legacy of the father. You know,
Yeah.
and ultimately that's what we're supposed to be doing. Instead of what the Heavenly Father Yahweh Shai, we're supposed to continue on that legacy. You know, of righteousness.
Right.
You know, so yeah, so that's very important. But anyways, back to the topic of, you know, there's no such thing as white or black people. That does not exist. The nations are already written about in the scriptures. Okay, and you got to figure out who you are, man. You know, because if you're an Israelite, you have a chance at salvation. If you're a heathen and salvation ain't for you, you better hope at least you're not an Edomite. Okay, because Edomites are about to get judged. That's the people of the Heavenly Father's curse. And that's who's ruling the earth right now. Okay, you got that information?
Con.
Go ahead.
So I asked ChatGPT, was the term white people created?
Speak up a bit.
Con. It says, I asked ChatGPT, was the term white people created in the 1600s by Batalora? And
It wasn't created by Batalora. No, it was just her research. She had some research on it.
research. Oh, okay.
But anyways, let's see what it has to say. Maybe it'll correct you.
Okay. It says, short answer, no, Jacqueline Batalora is a contemporary scholar born in 1965 who studies the history of race and law in U.S. She did not create the term white people. What she argues in her work, especially in her book Birth of a White Nation, is that the legal category white was codified in Virginia law in the late 1600s.
Yeah. I
Particularly,
believe it was 1681, but go ahead.
yeah, it says particularly in Virginia slave codes in 1680
80, okay.
to 1705. It says what actually happened. The word white to describe Europeans existed long before 1600s. What did emerge in the late 17th century?
But it wasn't a legal term.
Right.
It wasn't a legal term. They might have called themselves this and that. Because remember, you're going back to the Renaissance. They still were deceiving the nations when they were coming in. Right? So they demonized dark skin. That didn't just happen in slavery. That happened going back to the 1400s. They were demonizing dark skin. Okay? Even in certain plays and things of that nature, they were demonizing having being of a swarthy color. You know? Go ahead.
Yeah, it says. It says what did emerge.
And they actually tied that being dark skinned to being of an ill moral character.
Right.
See? Go ahead.
It says what did emerge in the late 17th century in colonial America was the formal legal invention of white people as a racial class, mainly in Virginia, as a way to divide Europeans and Africans to solidify slavery. It says Batalora simply documents and explains this historic development. She didn't coin the term.
Yeah, and it was, you know, there's reasons behind that, you know. There was there's Bacon's rebellion. There was people that were rising up, and Jake and Esau that were actually rising up against the government because they're both being oppressed, just like they're both being oppressed now, really, in the system, right? But when they gave Esau that white term, they were happy to turn on Jake, you know, right? Because they just want to feel superior to Jake, because really when Esau's around us, they feel inferior. That's the truth about it, you know. And they have this natural envy for us. But see, that term just became a legal term in the 1600s. That's not a real nation. There's no nation as white people. And furthermore, their skin color is not white. They're red. They're red. Okay? From a dark red to a light pink. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I got something here
Go ahead.
from Medium that says White History Month, Day 13.
Mm-hmm.
It says white people were invented in 1681.
Mm-hmm.
This may sound shocking, for surely white people inhabited countries across Europe for hundreds, if not thousands of years, right? No. The idea to create white people to group distinct European nationalities together into a single group had not been done until 1681. It says in Maryland.
And it's only recently that certain people even became classified as white, like Italians, Irish. You know, they took even way past that. It was like probably like the 1900s or something like that. You know, that they were classified as a so-called white. You know, because what? Because a lot of them descended from what? From Jake. They descend from Jake. They descend from Israelites. So even though they have that so-called white-looking skin, they're really Israelites. Okay? Case in point, Conor McGregor, man, that's a Jake. Ain't nobody Jake. That's an Israelite that looks like a so-called white guy. You know? Robin Thicke. You know, Justin Timberlake. Right? The bad baby, that demon. You know, the Catch Me Outside girl. That's nothing but a Jake, man. That's an Italian end-up, man. She trying to transform her face into an end-up looking face, too. Okay? There's all kind of Israelites that look like so-called white people that are walking around amongst us all the time. Okay? That are mixed in amongst Edomites. See, just because someone looks like an Edomite does not mean they're an Edomite. Just because someone looks like a Chinese person does not mean that they're a Moabite. Right? You have a lot of Israelites amongst the Chinese. Matter of fact, there's a scripture that says, Moab, let me hide Judah amongst you. If you know where that is. Okay? So this thing is not based upon how you look. That's a carnal mind state. And a lot of the majority of these camps are still carnal. And what does it say about a carnal mind? Hey, get me that about a carnal mind, Baba Kushab. Yeah. So we gotta dismantle these lies, man.
Okay. This is the book of James. Salakia.
When you got it, go ahead and read it, man. Because that carnality, the Most High ain't dealing with you, man. If you're in a carnal mind state like that, He's not dealing with you at all. Okay, you're gonna have Israelites that are gonna look like all kinds of people. I shall work in your day. You know?
Yeah.
You won't even know Wagwan. You'll be all confused. Like, what the hell? He's saying he's an Israelite? I recently just came across a brother in where was he in? Was he in Sweden? But he looked like an Edomite, you know. But you need to, if you're listening to this, brother, you need to really get into it, man. Don't just read a couple scriptures. Really get into this, study, and really get into it. Start doing real videos, man. If the Spirit is on you, all right. You can't just be reading verses here or there. That's not what we do. We actually break down scriptures, you know.
Yeah, again.
What?
This is Romans 8 and verse 6. It says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, for it is not subject to the law of the Most High, neither indeed can be."
Yeah, so you're not connected to the Most High if you're in a carnal mind state. Yeah. And for you to say, because he looks like an Edomite, he's an Edomite. If it's a duck, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Because you're not spiritual. Okay? You got that, Shaquat?
I don't think so.
Okay, you know where it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So that's the bottom line, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure that you know exactly when you talk to somebody, you got to know how to decipher the spirit. You know, cuz Israel has a particular type of spirit to them. You know, that other nations can't mimic.
Right.
You know? So, you know, I mean, there's certain people that could try to mimic, but there's certain times you'll say, nah, this is genuine. You know, Yeba, that artist Yeba. I remember I showed you brothers Yeba.
Yeah.
She looks like an Edomite, like a chubby Edomite woman. But what, she can sing her ass off, man. You know, she could really sing, man. She got some vocals, man. You know, so there's not too much people that can lead a Jake choir.
Yeah.
You know, to stand out amongst a Jake choir, but she can do that. Why? Because she's an Israelite. You know. You got it. Go ahead, bro.
Isaiah
16?
16 in verse 4, it says, "Let mine outcast dwell with thee, Moab. Be thou a covert to them from the face of the spoiler.
Right.
For the extortioner is at an end, the spoiler ceaseth, the oppressors are consumed out of the land."
So Moab, there's Israelites amongst them, and guess what? When we come down from them ships, you know, Lord willing, we be of that number. We gotta see where the Israelites is at. We gotta see where the Israelites is at. They gotta come back home. Well, really, you're gonna bring some of them to the wilderness. If they ain't right, it's off with their head.
Right.
And be the other ones, you know, that are right, that are okay, they're gonna be able to come in and be in that top class.
Right.
You know, in the kingdom. Okay? Right? Not amongst the 144,000, but amongst the Israelites. Go ahead.
Right, because from time we had communities and settlements in Moab.
Yeah.
You know, going back to Ruth,
Oh,
or
that's
even
what I got,
David,
yeah.
when he escaped from Saul, he sent his family, his parents, he sent them in Moab to take refuge there. You know, so for sure there was communities and they intermingled with them. You know, they popped Moabite chicks, and then, you know, from generation to generation, their sons came out and daughters came out looking Moabitish. You know, but does that mean they're Moab? No, they're Jakes that look like Moabites. You know, until this day, you still see them, man. You know, the top dancers and shit. Those are Jakes, man.
Right.
You know, what's that group? That group with the mask and stuff?
Jabberwockies.
Jabberwocky. Come on, bro. No, that's not Moab, bro.
No.
That's Jake, man.
Right.
You know?
Right. You got the battle rapper Jin. Right. He used to make we used to have something called Freestyle Fridays on 106 and Park on BET, and he was killing it, man. He was like, oh shit, yo, he was going in, man.
Right.
You know, we couldn't wait till Friday to see that guy rap. You know, because he's a Jake. Oh, what's that other guy? The other dude, kind of like a grimy Mobite, like a grimy ninja. There's another dude, man, China Mac.
Yeah. Yo, that's a nigga.
Got a scar on his face and shit, you know.
Yo, man.
You know, but he still thinks he's a Moabite, man. He's not. His people. The reason why he's chilling with black people so much, because he is a so-called black man, in a so-called Chinese body. So there ain't no such thing as a black person, the nation of black people. No, there's Israelites, and there's Moabites and Edomites and so on and so forth. Get me Isaiah 11. 11, brother. You know, just to solidify that point.
Yeah.
So lock in.
Isaiah 11 and verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria.
Yeah, and the first time was when in Egypt. You know, that was the first time that the Lord, you know, took us out from our captivity. And now the second time is going to be in this day and age, you know, where the Lord is going to deliver his elect from the four corners of the earth. You got it.
It says, set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea.
Yeah, and those are all heathen nations that's being that the prophet Isaiah is saying right here, man. You know, does that mean that it's heathen that's going to be delivered? No, it's Israelite that's within those different nations, from Elam, Cush, Hamath, the different islands of the sea. Those are Jakes, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, backing it up with Matthew 24 and 31, how that dude was gonna send his angels to gather his elect from the four corners of the earth, because Jake is scattered, man. You know, throughout multiple captivities, these nations took us, and what? We dwelt among them, and then what? We popped their woman. What do you think happened? Through all generations, we came out looking different. You know, and to this day, there's brothers out there in different camps from GMS that don't look like the stereotype of an Israelite. There's some brothers that look Edomitish, you know, or Moabite. Does that mean that they're that nation? No, they're Jakes. You know, how do we know? Because what? They gravitate towards these scriptures, man.
That's right.
That's an indicator to show you that, yo, that's not a heathen. Because what? The laws and statutes and commandments will only show to who? To Jacob. So therefore, only them they could come back and learn this truth, man. Regardless of how they look like.
Right.
You know, and once again, that takes for you to be in the spirit to recognize that, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not in the spirit, you could deny one of your fellow brethren from coming into this, man. Shutting up the kingdom of heaven to them.
That's right.
Nah, you ain't a Jake, man. You're not Israel. This is not for you.
Right.
You Chum. You know? You an Edomite, You're shutting up the kingdom of heaven, man. That's not right judgment. You know, you got to be like the Lord told Samuel. I don't see how men see it. I look in the inward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to be able to see, oh, he's going through the curses. Yo, shit, he might be a Jake. Oh, he understands this word. Yeah, for sure he's a Jake. Look how he's walking. Look how he talks. You know? There's a lot of signs that show, that he's different from these heathen nations, man. Because these heathens, they have no sauce. They're plain, you know, they're just black. And everything they do, it's black. You could tell, you know? But you have to be spiritual.
That's what it said about the Egyptian woman and the Israelite woman. It said that the Israelite women were more lively, so they had a different spirit to them. You know, so like an Israelite, they have a special spirit, like the Lord said. You know,
Go ahead, brother.
And you could tell if you're paying attention.
Because even now, our women do have a different spirit than other nation women.
Yeah.
As much as we get on the N-dub and, and whatever, really the N-dub is, their spirit meshes with our spirit. Like, they're like, they're if they're in their right mind, they're chill. You could chill, you could have fun, watch movies and crack up and laugh, make jokes. You know what I'm saying? If they're in their right spirit, but they're not in their right spirit. That's the thing, Go ahead.
Okay, son.
Go ahead.
Sirach 11 and verse 2, commend not a man for his beauty, neither abhor a man for his outward appearance.
Yeah, that's right. Or don't abhor a man for his outward appearance. And these camps are guilty of that.
Yeah.
They see a dude, he looks a particular way. They don't ask him no question. He's interested. Nah, this ain't for you. They'll ridicule him.
It's crazy.
So they're abhorring him for his outward appearance. See, us here at Great Millstone, we don't do that.
Right.
At first you may look and say, if you're an Edomite, such and such and stuff, but then we'll talk to him for a while and say, no, you're a Jake. You're one of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good.
And he'll be like, And then, then we just got to kind of break it down to him,
Right.
Because what? We're trying the spirit.
Right.
Go ahead, brother. Let's get the last scriptures. Doesn't have anything else they want to bring up?
I guess, right here. This is Romans 8 and verse 16.
Yeah.
It says, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High.
That's right.
Going back to that spiritual judgment, man. Through the Spirit, you could tell that, this is my brother right here, man.
That's right.
In the book of Sirach, it says what? All kind of flesh consorteth to his like.
Yeah.
Regardless if the person looks off or like physical wise, they have a different skin tone. But you talk to them, you dabbing them up. The dab up is like, all perfect.
Right.
It's matching. It's in the spirit. But you like, shit. He's an Israelite, man.
That's right.
Because when you speak to heathens, there's always like a little.
There's a friction.
There's a friction, like
There's a friction.
Awkwardness.
Awkwardness.
Yep.
It's either they're trying to like assimilate to what Jake is, and you're like, nah, man, you're not Jake, bro.
Right,
You're faking the fun.
He's trying too hard. Yeah.
You're trying too hard. It's not natural, But when it's actual Jake, it's like it's natural. It's like a flow.
It's a flow.
But with these heathen, it's not, man. Cause I don't know, man. This guy's not a Jake, bro.
Right.
Even if he dresses like it, like, nah, man, it's not it. He's off. That's part of what the Spirit bear witness that we are the children of the Most High, man.
That's right. That's right. Take her to the movie.
Try it.
What tribe am I from? For the tribe of Cush.
Mizraim.
Canaan.
Oh, brother.
Canaan, where's that in the 12 tribes? It's not on the side, it's the other side. Go ahead.
was it, man. That was it.
The other side, brother.
Good, brother. You got something?
God. Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
Yeah, Jake is special, man. Look at Deion Sanders. Look at what he did, man. How he changed the game, man.
Wow, yeah.
You know, Jake is a special people, man. You know, he was the first person. He's playing, dominating in 2 sports, man. 2 professional sports, NFL and MLB at the same time. Baseball superstar Hall of Famer and an NFL Hall of Famer, same time.
Yeah.
You know, only Jake could do some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a spirit of Jake. And then his son is over there dominating now in the
NFL.
quarterback thing, man. He did a
Yeah.
crazy game the other day.
Yeah,
man.
bro. Should do
They
it.
could have said nothing to him. And they can't blame him for losing that game. That was because the Browns is shit.
They didn't put him in at that last play.
That
yeah.
last play too.
He started to, yeah, bro.
That dude is hating, you know. And this could all be a distraction too. He's doing little things to distract. Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
But we know that Jake has that spirit to do these things.
Right.
Yeah.
You know. Go ahead, brother.
And that's a special spirit, man.
It's a special spirit.
It says, chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
All right. So we're above all these other nations, and these nations know that. That's why they hate. They don't have a competition with Esau, even though Esau's on top. The nations are really in competition with Jake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're in competition with Jake, you know? Hey, man, it's just so much incidences, man. You could tell that I remember tell these heathens they want to compete with us, you know?
Yeah.
It's like he's one Elamite I used to work with. There's one chick, she liked Jake, you know? One little Greek chick, Greek and Italian chick. She only wanted Jake's, you know? We'd be flirting and whatever. Yeah. And she's like, I'm like, yeah, she's like, yeah, I'm trying to get with her, you know? Because he sees me talking to her, you know?
Right.
He's like, yeah, I want to get with her, man. And I said, yeah, I don't know, man. She likes black guys, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so she don't like brown? She don't like brown? And then I said, yeah, she might like, yeah, you might be the next choice. Why not the first? So you could just tell he was kind of like jealous of that whole situation.
Yeah.
But he wasn't jealous of Esau like that. You know what I mean? So this is how these nations, they give us this energy, but they don't give Esau the same energy, man.
Right.
You know? They know there's something special about Israelites, man.
Right.
They know that, man. You know? Even when Eminem, he started coming up in their ranks, a lot of them heathen, they gravitate to Eminem.
Right.
Because they looked at that, like they identified with that.
Yeah.
Finally we can compete with the blacks. You know? But wait a minute, that's a so-called white man, right?
Right.
But why? Because they just felt like they couldn't. That was just like someone could break through
Yeah.
to be like Jake,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
To be on Jake's level, you know? So, you know, I know I'm probably not explaining it right, but hopefully
No.
you understand what I'm saying, you know? Go ahead.
Sirach 10 and verse 31. He that is honored in poverty, how much more in riches?
Right.
And
so imagine we're in this low state and they want to be like us. You know, these heathen are trying to act like us. You go around the world, they're dressing like Jake, trying to act like Jake. If Jake goes to certain places, they'll treat you like a celebrity. You know? Especially if they think you're an American.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Go ahead.
It says, and he that is dishonorable in riches, how much more in poverty?
Right. And you Edomites, you're just, your people look down on you now. In the highest state you have ever been in.
Yeah.
So,
shit.
wait till you're brought down to the bottom again. Where you belong, by the way. All right? That's it. You got something?
No.
Okay. You got something else?
Wow.
Okay, so with that, we're going to close up. All right? Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. We want to give all the praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Hakodash.
It belongs to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations, much love and respect to Akim out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. Shalom.
Shalom.
Switch up with the thumb.